Today we're looking at growing pumpkins from seeds, and we believe that the best way to grow pumpkins from seeds is to sow them directly into the garden. We don't like to grow them in containers and then plant them out. We think that's a bit of a waste of time because pumpkin seeds will generally germinate really quickly. The same technique applies to all types of pumpkins and, if you like, squash. We're planting two types today and they're a little bit unusual. The first one is Marrow, which is a really rich tasting pumpkin, and we really like that one. It's also called red curry, so it depends whether you're in France or Japan as to what the name's going to be. The second pumpkin that we're going to plant is Gallo de Essence, and that's a French variety. Again, it's got a really rich taste, and we like to grow these two because they're great for roasting. They're great for making pumpkin soup. Pumpkins like a sunny position and a good rich soil. A good rich soil simply means that you're going to dig in some well-rotted compost and a bit of cow manure before you plant your pumpkins. There are lots of thoughts on pre-soaking pumpkin seeds, and you can do this if you want to. We're going to soak half of our pumpkin seeds and not the other half, and we'll show you the difference in germination. To soak them, simply get the seeds, put them into some lukewarm water and leave them there for about 6 hours. Then they're ready to plant. The seeds are easy to plant. We simply plant them on their side and then we water them in. Planting distance is going to depend on what type of pumpkins you're growing. Some are long trailing types and you'll need to plant them at least 1 metre apart. The two that we're planting don't grow quite as big, so we'll be able to plant them at about 1/2 metre apart. When we put the seeds in, we put a few more in than that so they're a bit closer, and that's simply because if some of them don't germinate, we've got enough pumpkins for our needs. If they all germinate, we'll simply remove some and plant them somewhere else in the garden. Here we are, about 5 days after we planted our first pumpkin seeds. The ones that have come up first are the ones that we pre-soaked. About 3 or 4 days later, we're back again, and the pumpkins that we didn't soak are starting to germinate. So it's really only about 4 days difference in germination speed. However, we do find that we get better germination rates with the ones that we've soaked. Once the seeds have germinated and they reach a reasonable size, we're going to fertilise them with a nitrogen-based fertiliser. This is going to spring them into life and get them going. We'll only use the nitrogen fertiliser once. After that, our fertiliser will consist of a liquid seaweed and fish emulsion fertiliser and a little bit of blood and bone. Once the pumpkins really get going, we will mulch around them with a fine mulch, just to help keep the soil moist. You'll also find that if you've been putting your pumpkin scraps from the kitchen into a compost bin, that sometimes when you take that compost and put it into the garden, that the seeds will germinate. And that's fine. You can dig those up and you can plant them somewhere else in the garden. That's how easy pumpkins are to grow. And here's one that's popped up in our tomato patch. And if you watched our video on green manure crops, you will have seen that this is the very spot that we were digging in some added compost as well as the green manure. We'll take that one out and plant it somewhere else in the garden. These are the mature leaves on our pumpkins, and if you look really closely, you can see some flowers are about to form. Let the fruits fully ripen before you harvest them. When you harvest them, always leave a handle or a little bit of stalk on each pumpkin. Leave them out in the sun for a few days after you've harvested them, just so that they harden off before you take them inside and store them in a cool, dry place. That's it for growing pumpkins from seed. For more information on growing all sorts of vegetables, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Visit the website for more information, and as always, good luck with your gardening.